Hello, Dr. Mike, and today we're going to talk just briefly about chapter 15 to get you started in your reading assignment about capital punishment and the death penalty. We don't hear as much about those today as we used to in times gone by. Used to be a pretty broad ethical quandary over people that were against the death penalty, people that are for. You still see a few protesters when there is an execution about to take place. But there's some really interesting things in the United States, considering that we are about democracy and freedom and all those things. The number of people that we have incarcerated per capita is greater probably than any nation in the world. And so it's really interesting to look at that and think about it. I'm going to go to our slides just briefly to give you some things to look at. But the nature of legal punishment was a big argument in the past. Machiavelli in Italy in the 1500s discussed this, wrote a book about punishment as a deterrent to crime or rehabilitation, whether a person could be rehabilitated or not. But legal punishment for crimes is designed to hurt and to train and to coerce and cause people to do better, to do right. And so it's important that we understand that when we start considering things like this. So we think about the purpose of crime and punishment is at the heart of what we do, hoping to rehabilitate criminals and most times keep them off the street if they're extremely dangerous. So legal punishment designed to hurt must not be gladly accepted or something you enjoy, must follow legal rules, must be in response to a crime or suspicion of a crime, and then for the state to inflict harm or pain on those who break the law. There's a written set of rules about that. So we have certain guidelines that we go by in the legal system to keep us from going too far. And so then, of course, the purpose would be a deterrence to stop someone from doing a crime, or retribution that they might be able to pay back what they have done. Deterrence views that legal punishment morally justifiable if punishment can deter or prevent future crimes. The forward-looking person, the ethicist that is a consequentialist, would hold on to that we're hoping to deter crime. You weigh the cost plus the benefits, and that's what a judge does on the bench when they are weighing a crime. They weigh the cost plus the benefits, and there has to be laws on the books in order for something to be against the law. You cannot be arrested for something that is not a legal entity on the law books. And so that was the purpose of giving the first laws, the 10 Commandments. Even the Bible says that God gave the 10 Commandments so that there was a standard by which people could be reviewed and punished for their misbehavior. And of course, it started with those 10 laws. And of course, that has become millions and millions of statutes now on paper. And the more we live together, the more we need those, because there are more and more infractions. And it also is considered to be a part of our moral education, that we train people to be honest and to be forthright and to do the things they should be. Retribution argument is the other one, that is that the person responsible should pay for their crime. This is kind of backward looking. It's based on past actions, and it's internally related to wrongful conduct. You punish people because they deserve to be punished. You punish to right a wrong or to restore original state of something. The equivalency could be made in money to the crime or the harm. They could pay retribution. They could pay to repair the things that they destroyed. And so that's a really important concept when we think about justice. Some people that go to prison that have done heinous crimes will work in the prison industry. What little money they make there doing that is taken and given to the victim as a form of retribution for what that person did to them. So one of the big issues when we talk about crime and punishment is, of course, responsibility for a crime. Are you sure you have the right person? That's what the trial is all about, to determine whether the right person is taken or not, is guilty. Some people use an insanity defense that they didn't know what they were doing at the time, and some people talk about their free will. Those are all parts of this discussion of crime and punishment. We look at prisons. Statistically, 20% of the world's prison population, as I mentioned to earlier, is in the United States. There is some tremendous racial disparities there. 2014, when the information for this book was gathered, Black males incarcerated up to 10 times more than white males. And so there is some, and of course, there's many more men than women in those prisons. And today, thanks to Bill Clinton, who's actually a Democrat and pretty liberal, passed the 3 strikes and you're outlaw, which says if you get convicted for 3 felonies, then you are in prison for life. So that could be drugs, which is mainly what it has been, marijuana. If you got caught 3 times carrying a certain amount of marijuana, you'd be put in prison for life. So we've got people now in prison that have been there for marijuana in states which have now legalized marijuana, which has set up a whole new quandary of discussions about, well, what do we do with those people? They were sentenced under the old laws, and now we have marijuana's legal. Do we let them go? And so that is probably the next big discussion you're going to see coming down the pike. But restorative justice tries to heal the wounds of the crime while allowing the criminal to take responsibility, and it tries to help change social conditions. The death penalty is the big discussion in this group of being able to take someone's life for their actions that they have done. And so this is a big deal. So read this section carefully. There is a certain racial bias and unfairness in this, it seems to be. And so it's worth reading. The cost of the death penalty, is it cheaper to do that than it is to feed a prisoner for 60 or 70 years? And then how can we make those executions more humane? There have been all kinds of things through the years that have been used for executions, from hanging to beheading, to drawing and quartering, to now there's a chemical death that's done. There's a guy in Utah a few years ago that chose to be killed by firing squad. So there's a lot of different ways that's done, but the way that's the most humane is the one that's up for discussion. For the rest of the book, you're going to be reading some different philosophical stuff about the idea of capital punishment and the theory behind it. And so I really do encourage you to try to read that. Listen to the TED Talk, which will provide you with some really great information and will help you to kind of see things a little bit more deeply. So let me encourage you to do that as you work on your work today and start turning it in. Be sure that you remember the deadlines. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.